Hi everyone, I'm Andrea Klim from Turn to the Stars. Thanks for tuning in today. I'm going to be talking about the upcoming full moon in Capricorn that's occurring on June 24th. And I'm going to be showing you the chart and showing you some of the influences, talking about some of the influences that are very, very much influential right now. And one of the first things that I'd like to talk about is some of the meaning behind this full moon. This full moon is actually taking place on June 24th, and it is occurring at exactly, let me just grab that chart right here, at 2:39 p.m. Eastern Daytime. So if you're on the Eastern Coast, the full moon will be at its peak of influence at 2:39 p.m. on June 24th, and it is at 3 degrees of Capricorn and 27 minutes. And so it's opposite the sun, as it always is on a full moon, at 3 degrees of Cancer and 27 minutes. And the first thing I want to talk about is the Sabian symbol that describes the influences of this full moon. And it is, if you can imagine, and you'll see more about this theme as I proceed into this recording. So a Sabian symbol is a description of the energy of each sign of the zodiac, each degree of the zodiac, and it describes the essence, the feeling, the emotion, and some of the experiences that are surrounding the energy of this full moon. Full moons bring things to full light, to fruition, to completion, full awareness. And so wherever this full moon is taking place in your chart, in reference to your birth chart by the transiting planets, is where you're going to be seeing the peak of this energy, the peak of this emotion. And so the Sabian symbol for this is a group of people entering a large canoe for a journey by water. So you've got a huge group of people joining together, getting into a canoe, preparing for a journey down a stream or down a river, whatever that may be. So this degree shows journeying with others. Each person brings with them their individual stories, their needs, and their wants. They come together to accomplish something, to set out for somewhere. To embark on a journey with a number of people is to embark on an emotional discovery, along with learning the rules of society about interacting with others, with cooperation, and everyone is healing or heading in the same direction. And if everyone works together, there can be success. You may find episodes when different and separate aspects of your personality come together to explore where you're going. The trick is, are you all headed in the same direction? Cooperation, a shared goal in sight, being on a journey of destiny, traveling or living together, travels on the water, rowing together, workshops, sharing destinations. And here's some of the cautions that are associated with this full moon in Capricorn. Uncoordinated energies, not wanting to go along with anybody, rocking the boat, no one navigating, lack of a realistic agenda or itinerary, lack of privacy. Now, Capricorn is an earth sign, so there's a certain amount of reservation that's associated with each earth sign. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, the planet Saturn. And so it holds a message that there is responsibility involved with each and every experience that we have, especially when interacting with others. And full moons always bring up an awareness of others. It's an opposition to the sun. The sun is the spirit, the light. It shows the will. And the sun in Cancer is telling us a story about family. about security, about safety, about how we nurture other people. And this full moon in Capricorn is about business and responsibility and structure and organization. So it's these two opposites coming together. And on this full moon, it really highlights these areas of our lives. And there's something that I wanted to share with you because this is a full moon, and full moon is a great time for meditation, contemplation, sitting with something and realizing where your awareness is growing. What does that look like for you in your life? And with all that's going on in this world at this time, responsibility is a huge thing. Taking responsibility for our individual desires, in our individual, quests, our individual journeys as far as our careers go, as far as our responsibilities go. And so there was something that I've been using and I've been working on myself, which is a meditation, because when it comes to interacting with other people, my perception may be different than your perception, and your perception may be different than mine. So, on oppositions, if we can't hear each other, it makes it very difficult to connect. And so, there can be division on oppositions, which is what a full moon is. And this full moon is what we call a strawberry moon, and it's the last of a series of 3 supermoons. And supermoons are full moons that take place when the moon's orbit brings it closest to the Earth. And this full moon reaches its peak at, as I said earlier, 2:39 p.m. on Thursday, June 24th. And so it's going to be below the horizon at this time. So we're going to, plan to venture out. If you get a chance to get out on Wednesday night and see that full moon, because it's going to be in its waxing phase, meaning nearly at its peak, because it'll already be waning, meaning the energy is separating by Thursday when that full moon comes. So full moons are very powerful because the moon is the closest body to us here on Earth, and we are heavily influenced by the energy of the moon and the sign it's in. So one thing that I started to talk about before was a meditation to access your pre-birth plan, meaning what was it and who was it that I agreed to have these experiences with in this life. And so I'm going to read to you a meditation I think that you all may find helpful. And because astrology, a birth chart, is primarily a map of what your soul carried into this life. So it shows us what you brought into this life, what that looks like, when these experiences, the age you were when these experiences unfolded, and what were those experiences, whether they be challenging and asking us to grow, or whether it was a gift that you carried into this life to share with the world. And so our birth charts show that. So to the best of my knowledge, there's 3 ways which we can determine what we planned before we were born. And there is so much going on in relationships right now. There's so much going on that is absolutely crazy. This is a Uranian thing that's going on. And Uranus is the planet of surprises, of unexpected events, of craziness. It's also the planet that wakes us up to something different than we've ever even thought about before. And so here's something that I think you might find interesting. So to the best of my knowledge, as I said before, there are 3 ways in which we can determine what we planned before we were born. And either through working with an astrologer or a medium or a past life regressionist, a hypnotic regression to a lifetime between life state, or just through meditation or through shamanic journey, you can also access pre-birth plans. And an astrology chart actually shows us a map of what that looks like for us each individually. However, there is a meditation that I'm going to share with you right now. It's something I found along the way, and I don't remember where I found this, but I kept it because I thought it was so special. So if you could just close your eyes for a minute, imagine that you are in a room in which your pre-birth planning took place. It's important to spend the first few minutes of this meditation visualizing the appearance and the contents of this room in great detail. And I recommend that you not worry about whether you're getting the details right. That doesn't really matter. What does matter is that you see the room in detail, preferably details that speak to one or more of the five senses. For example, if you see furniture in the room, imagine the color and the feel of the fabric, the contour and texture of the wood, and so on. The process of seeing the room in specific detail will energetically transport you there. And this is true in most meditations, not just this one. So what's most important is the process of seeing the room, seeing the details. Imagine, what do you see? What do you feel? What do you smell? These things are all very important. And then after you have visualized the room in great detail, imagine that all the significant people in your life are there. Your parents, your children, romantic partners, siblings, friends, teachers, peers from school, employers, co-workers. Every person of significance is there. So just take a minute and, with your eyes closed, see what that looks like for you. Who are the people that are showing up in this room? And now if you could survey this crowd of people, notice that regardless of the nature of your earthly relationship, each and every person looks at you with an expression of pure, unconditional love. You're able to feel this love emanating from each of them. Rest serenely in the knowledge that pre-birth planning is always based on mutual, unconditional love. Now, as you survey the crowd, choose one person about whom you would like to know more. Walk up to this person and thank him or her for joining you here today. Then say, I have forgotten what you and I planned together before we were born. Would you please remind me? Then sit quietly and listen for the reply. The reply may well come to you in words, but do not let an expectation of words restrict the form of the answer. Be open to a reply that comes to your mind's eye as either a symbol or visual image, perhaps an image of another time and place. Be open as well to a reply that comes in the form of a feeling. Feelings are the language of the soul. Do not be disappointed or frustrated if you receive no reply or an unclear reply. Simply thank the person again for hearing your request and rest easy in the assurance that you will receive the answer. And it may be in another meditation. It could be in an entirely different way, but it will come to you when the time is right. And you can use this meditation as often as you feel guided. Remain unattached to the results. The desire for results can hinder the meditation. Desire is a thick, heavy energy that prevents you from raising your vibration in meditation. Rather than desire a response, simply set an intent to be open to any response that may come. And as I talked about earlier regarding the Sabian symbol that is connected with this full moon in Capricorn, I thought that with the level of cooperation that this full moon is asking us all to step up to the plate to, I thought that this might be helpful because there is a lot going on as far as relationships go right now. And there's a lot of emotion, and emotion is always heightened on a full moon. And, you know, they say in Ptolemy's Table of Dignities that the moon in Capricorn is in its fall. Well, that means that from an emotional standpoint, Capricorn energy is not so sensitive to others' feelings. It's more focused on the outcome, the structure of things, the work that's involved on this earth. And so it may appear cold at times, and people with Capricorn energy may appear that way at times because, you know, if you consider Saturn, the planet that rules Capricorn, there's a ring around it, meaning a protective, guarded type of energy. So when you have a full moon in Capricorn, you will see all of these influences heightened, magnified, because full moons bring full light to wherever they are. And so I had talked about earlier that this full moon is what we call a strawberry full moon. And it is going to be one of the brightest and biggest of this year. And the name strawberry full moon has been used by many different U.S. tribal communities to mark the ripening of June strawberries and that they were ready to be picked. And, you know, full moon brings things to full completion. And I know that I plant by the new moon and the full moon. For instance, on February 10th of this year, and now I'm in Florida, I planted seeds on that new moon. And by the time of the full moon, I had little babies, little heads popping up. So what you plant on the new moon comes to fruition by the time of the full moon. So that's something to think about because we are working in harmony with Earth. Astrology shows us the natural order of the world that surrounds us, and we all are energy. And so as I talked about earlier, the sun is going to be in opposition in the sign of Cancer. So the opposing energy deals with balancing responsibilities with work, which is Capricorn, versus responsibilities at home, which is Cancer. And Jupiter is positively aspecting both of these planets and expanding the energy. So we may feel the need for balancing family matters with outside interests such as a job or social obligation. And so now what does a full moon in Capricorn mean? So Capricorn is mostly I think it's a more misunderstood sign. If you look at the picture for Capricorn, it's a picture of a goat climbing up out of the water and it has the tail of a dolphin. And so the energy that surrounds that is one of someone climbing to the peaks in their life, constantly climbing to the peaks and ever evolving, meaning the tail of the dolphin is ever evolving, adapting to life on Earth. So it's constantly working hard at organizing and building and teaching. And I wanted to add that one of the most esoteric expression of Capricorn energy is one that says, I have all these materials. I worked so hard for all this, but I would love to share it with you. So how can I share what I have with you? The most unevolved signature of Capricorn is of someone who has collected all these things, and they're very miserly about what they have and what they own, and they won't share, and they think only about themselves. That's the most unevolved expression of Capricorn. So that's what I mean when I say it's misunderstood. And most people describe, think about Capricorn that it's a sign of work and no play. But the truth is that Capricorn embodies the work hard, play hard mentality. It's true that the sea goats are often hardworking professionals, which is why this full moon may bring great monetary or professional news. So circle Thursday, June 24th in your calendar. And um, and here's some ways that you can use this energy of this strawberry moon to your advantage. So as I talked about before, Capricorn's ruling planet is Saturn, which is currently retrograde in progressive Aquarius. And this retrograde asks us to look inwardly at where we are and to introspect what we've experienced between February and May, as the retrograde offers the medicine, so to speak, of a road already traveled that we're now looking back over until October 11th. So there's a strong Saturnian influence that's evident on this full moon. And as that energy is coming in, today is Tuesday, June 22nd. So this energy is very strong right now. Emotions are going to run strong. And, full moons are powerful times of manifestation, meaning that during this time, dreams can turn into reality. And Capricorn is one of those realistic signs, like show me the hard facts, show me the evidence, and then I'll believe you on this earth. So during this full moon, you may receive a raise or a job offer because Capricorn is the business sign. It's the career sign. And especially if it's something that you've been working for, this lunation is all about results because Capricorn is always thinking, okay, here's my plan. Here's what I'm going to do to get there. They're the planners. And so even if you don't receive good professional news, this full moon is a potent time to ask for it. And you can meditate on your worth and use Capricorn's energy to ask for the money or the value or the things or the recognition that you deserve, because this is a time where things come to fruition. And as I said earlier, Capricorn is a responsible earth sign. The supermoon is also perfect for planning routes. That could mean saying yes to a new job or setting into a new relationship. In matters of love, this lunation is ideal for letting go of a nostalgia and anchoring yourself in the present. So the most evolved or the esoteric side of Capricorn, as I said earlier, is looking at what you have built materially in your life and then asking yourself, how can I use what I have to help others? And when I think about Capricorn, I think about the Scrooge, the Grinch that stole Christmas. Like, I don't have enough. I need all this stuff. Again, Capricorn's an earth sign. So there's a strong earthly influence. And one of the things that you could do is write down a gratitude list with the full moon in view and then share it with your partner. Let them know how much they mean to you. So you're relating. Oppositions are about relating and compromise and cooperation, like you heard me talk about earlier. Now, I'm going to show you a chart of this full moon. But before I do that, I want to talk about Mercury retrograde because Mercury retrograde happens 3 times this year. We had one in January, and then our next one retrograde started on May 29th, but we always have a before shadow, which is a phase where we are traveling on a road, so to speak, or with Mercury, it's all about the mind, thinking, decision-making, and what any retrograde is meant to do is to bring us the means to a brighter future. Means that we may have to go back over territory we've already traveled, but there's a purpose, a divine purpose that our universe holds for us, and that is to go back over something we've already experienced and to get more insight. And the more we reflect on this particular area of our life and what that focus is, and you can see that with your birth chart. And if you want to create your birth chart, you could go on my website, turntothestars.com, where it says free birth chart, and you could plug in your name, your month, your day, your year, your time of birth, and the location of where you were born, and you can create your birth chart. And then you could see, if you know the symbols, you could see where this full moon at 3 degrees of Capricorn is landing in your chart. And if you need help with that, please, contact me, and I'd be happy to help you with that. But the retrograde, Mercury's retrograde through Gemini, occurred between May 29th, and it ends tonight. Actually, I believe it's, around 6 something this evening. And so the Gemini is all about, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, so this has been very powerful for Geminis, for Virgos, for anyone that has those energies or planets in those signs, anywhere from about 1 degree to about 6 degree of any sign. Primarily, that's the full moon energy. But the retrograde, Mercury retrograde, started at 24 degrees of Gemini, and it went back to 16 degrees of Gemini. So that ends today. And then the after shadow starts, which means that, okay, we've had this first experience, which is the before shadow. The retrograde began, and we had these kinks to work out. We had to do some research if we were using this energy in the best way we could. It was a time for review. It was a time for research. And, I look at it as that, well, you know what, there was something wrong over there, and Mercury retrograde helped me identify it. And so we revisited that. And so the after shadow is the time when we cover the final journey of the same path we've traveled twice over. The third time is the after shadow, meaning that we're still having experiences that were associated with the before shadow. We went over it during the retrograde, and now between June 22nd and July 7th, we have the after shadow. It's almost like you might think of it as a hangover, something left over, and we're revisiting that, or we're going through it for the third time, but now we have the knowledge that we didn't have before, and we can apply it. And so Mercury retrograde will not happen again until the third one of this year, which is going to be in Libra, which starts September 27th and lasts through October 18th. So I'll talk more about that in upcoming shows. And as I said before, we actually, and I want to share my screen with you. I actually have I want to show you a picture of the full moon. And this is actually a picture. Wait a second, I think I need to share my screen. Yeah, I do. I need to share my screen. And so here we go. Okay, so here's the chart of the United States and the United States birth chart, which I use, as you can see, July 4th, 1776. And this is of the full moon. So the inner wheel is the United States birth chart, and the outer wheel is the transiting planets and the outer influences to the United States of America. And you can see that I've highlighted the full moon at 3 degrees of Capricorn and 27 minutes. And you can see that this full moon is opposite Venus. And this full moon is in the first house of the United States. So if you think about the United States as one body or one being, one group, this is our birth chart. This full moon is in the first house, which meaning that there's a lot of emphasis on us at this time, our business, our rules, our regulations, our careers, our corporations. And being that it's in opposition to Venus, it does indicate that there's a tug of war, or there's this growing awareness of our relationships with other countries, and who is our foe and who is our friend, and who is working with us, who is wanting to cooperate, and who do we want to cooperate with. So that is very strong in this chart. And Venus is also the ruler of the 10th and the 11th house of this chart, meaning who we are, how the world sees us, and also who are our friends and what are our united goals. And so this could be a great time of collaboration, forming decisions to divide or decisions to work harder to cooperate with others, other countries, and relate better. And I have actually highlighted also all the other planets that are retrograde. As you can see, we have Pluto retrograde, which is a planet of power, control, death, and rebirth, the breakdown of things, the taking apart of things, and it's in the second house. It's our money systems, it's our value systems, and the very structure of those. And you can see that Pluto is retrograde, and Pluto is retrograde. Let me just cover that very quickly here, because this is a great time when you have planets that are retrograde. And always when Pluto is retrograde, it's a great time for doing some inner housekeeping. Like, this is something that structurally is making sense. This is a time for me to get rid of these old things. And this has to do in the United States with our money, our value systems. And our second house is also self-esteem. And as you can see, Pluto is in opposition to Mercury. And Pluto is actually coming back to 24 degrees and 19 minutes and during its retrograde, which lasts from April 28th through October 7th. So this is a time for us to do some accounting and look at our monetary systems and decide, is this something that is going to keep us and support us to have security? Maybe this is something we need to let go of. Mercury is in the 8th house of this chart, which is other people's money, other people's values. It's banks, lending institutions, insurance companies, it's taxes. So at this time, with Pluto opposite Mercury, this is a huge growing awareness of what things we need to change. Who is it that is agreeing with us that this is what we need, and who is it that isn't? We also have Saturn retrograde at 12 degrees of Aquarius, and Saturn is going to be retrograde until, let's see here, October 11th. And it is going from 13 degrees all the way back to 6 degrees. So if you have any planets in your chart that are in fixed signs, Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, or Taurus, this is a time of great, great responsibility of seeing what is realistic, of learning how we can work together as a world, as a society, in our individual communities, and what is it that's valuable and what is it that's not. And this is the retrograde. Saturn is about limitation. It's about working hard and developing abilities for survival in the world. So Saturn is considered the great teacher. It's considered Father Time, the Lord of Karma. So there's a lot of work going on right now, and with Saturn transiting the second house retrograde, a lot of introspection between now and through October 11th. We can also see that Jupiter is retrograde at 2 degrees of Pisces. And Jupiter's retrograde started a couple days ago on June 20th, and it lasts through October 17th. And we're going to go back to 22 degrees of Aquarius. So, you know, there's some great sensitivity out in the world with Jupiter and Pisces, because Pisces is the signature or the sign of unconditional love, but it's also the most sensitive sign of the zodiac. And here we have Jupiter magnifying that energy. And Jupiter is also, as you heard me say before, it's trining Venus. So there's this beautiful, beautiful gift of compassion and understanding and sensitivity. And, you know, for us, we're thinking in the United States, you know, about the things that really matter to us. And so there's support in relationships that comes by way of compassion and empathy. And, you know, Jupiter in Pisces has always been said to be the signature of angels or of an angelic energy. And so, you know, we're in this retrograde period through October 17th. So we're expanding on this emotional inner review. We're expanding on this emotional inner revisitation of what our boundaries are, and what our dreams are, and what our hopes are, and what our visions are. So there's extreme sensitivity that's in this world right now that's surrounding us. And, you know, some of the other things that we have going on that are really, really major in the United States birth chart is that Neptune by transit is in opposition to the birth Neptune and in square to Mars. And the solar eclipse was actually right on top of Mars. So that means that, you know, we were birthed here in the United States at a time of war, which had to do about, you know, about our belief systems, about our spirituality, about our religious beliefs, and what the laws were. And Mars in square to Neptune is a signature of anger and frustration and combativeness and confusion and a lot of suffering that was being experienced through our relationships with other countries and foreign lands. And at the time of our birth, we were at war. And so this was what was triggered on that solar eclipse, North Node solar eclipse on June 10th, which was a major marker of endings of certain things and new things beginning. And I think that this eclipse was telling us that we need to look at different ways to manage the news, to manage our thoughts and our words and how we communicate with others. And so with Neptune in opposition and square, we are definitely going through some growing pains. And, you know, the ninth house is also about fairness and justice. What's fair, what's just, what's right? What are the laws? Not only the earthly laws, but spiritual laws. So we have this huge awareness here in the United States of what's just, what's fair, what's not fair, what's not right. Are we being treated equally, or are we being lied to? Because Neptune, when it's in poor aspect, can really expand deception and unfairness and deceit. And so there's this huge awareness of what's healthy also. So we are at a big crossroads here in the United States. And it can be challenging at best because, as I said earlier, Mars and Neptune were in a very difficult configuration when we were born, when our United States of America was born. And so we are in a place of huge growing pains, and Neptune is actually going to go retrograde on Gee whiz, where did I put that? Hang on a second here. Neptune goes retrograde on June 25th, which is the day after the full moon in Capricorn. And it lasts through December 1st. So this is a great time of dreams that carry messages for us and to us, dreams and visions and feelings that we have not yet completely understood. And Neptune is the planet of illusion. It is the planet of dreams and hopes and visions and also escapism. So there is going to be, we are in a very, very difficult position here in the United States. And I think a lot of this has to do with abuse of either alcohol, drugs. There's a lot of, it's very much our awareness that we have an epidemic in this country that has to do with people escaping from reality because the pain that they're experiencing is more than they know how to manage themselves. So, an opposition can bring people together if both parties are willing to give. And here, with this opposition, this is very, very powerful time here in the United States. And there's a lot of other things going on. The North Node here, as you can see, is in Gemini. It's in the sixth house of this chart. And it is, the sixth house is primarily about what we're doing for work on a day-to-day basis. And this tells us, the North Node of the moon shows us the direction we're meant to go. And the North Node here in Gemini in the sixth house is telling us that we need to talk about, we need to network, we need to socialize and investigate areas where what is healthy, what is not, how can we help each other more on this path? How can I serve you better and share our ideas with each other? Communicate. That's what Gemini is about, being social, sharing information and being free-spirited in how you share that. So I just wanted to share with you a little tidbit about this full moon and what it promises. And one of the things that also is promised on this full moon, and I'm going to share this screen, is, and I hope you can see this. This is the full moon chart for the Capricorn full moon, the strawberry moon, which is happening on Thursday at 2:39 p.m. And you can see the full moon right down here. This is a universal chart. But one of the things that I love about this chart is that we've got a Star of David in fire between the South Node in Sagittarius and Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries, and Mars in Leo, a grand trine in fire, meaning very, very optimistic around things to do with the past and healing and getting ourselves resituated in our work and our activities, and that it's coming from the heart. So this is truly a gift. And then also we can see that there's a grand trine in air also. So here's your Star of David, right here, a Star of David. And it's really beautiful. The air is ideas, sharing thoughts, talking about things that really are important and finding a way to understand each other, primarily with families and with this time of great change that we're experiencing here on Earth. So here is a Star of David. It's a beautiful, supportive energy that's coming from the outside world and from the world, the planets that surround us. So I think it holds a promise of optimism, and that ideas are very, very strong at this time, that there's support for communication, there's support for sharing our ideas and our thoughts. And so this is quite a beautiful full moon to see. And I mean, we do have some stress showing up in this chart. However, the primary, I think, influence one of the things that is really, really pronounced here is we can see that Mars is in a growing square to Uranus. And that can be, Mars is about our actions, our desires, our need to move, to fight for what we want and to go after it. Mars in Leo says, I'm going to be very active in getting you to understand that I'm important, that I'm special, that I am creative, and I want to act on that. And then with the square to Uranus, it suggests great challenges are on our path at this time because Uranus is in Taurus. And those two signs do not get along. And this is a challenge for us to grow together and to change together and to work together. Mars and Leo will really fight for what it wants and what it wants to create and to be heard. And you can see that Mars is opposite Saturn. Saturn is squaring Uranus, and Uranus is squaring Mars. This can be a very difficult configuration, a difficult influence, and it can be dangerous. It can indicate that there is going to be some huge disagreements and that there is a huge focus here on people being individually responsible for what it is that they want and responsible for how they portray that or what their actions are. I always say, and it's very true in the world, you could tell me something over and over again, but your actions are going to tell me what the truth is. And so, we've got Saturn squaring Uranus here. It's very, Saturn is restriction. It says work on this. And Uranus says, I want to awaken everybody on this earth to a new way. And sometimes it's through getting struck by lightning or a series of unexpected events. Now, Mars can be, when it's squaring, it can be a signature of war or fighting. And Uranus, as this configuration grows closer and closer throughout the next week, you're going to see some things happen that are very combative and volatile and crazy, unexpected things that unfold. So we are in this process of growing, and I would suggest to you that the very best response here is to go very slow. That is something you can do. Go slow down. Think twice before acting. Mars is about your actions, your desires. Think twice, 3 times about your actions. And be careful that you're putting yourself in safe places. And Uranus can be explosions. It can be sudden bolts of lightning, but it also can be sudden intuition. So, hindsight is always foresight. When we're going through something and it's hard and challenging, we say, I just wish this would be over. But being present to walk through the challenges in front of you is the most powerful thing in the world, and it's not easy. And I can say that by experience because I'm great at running away. And so for me to sit when I'm uncomfortable is a real challenge for me, to sit still and think it through and digest it and communicate about it. But you've got 2 very strong-willed signs here. Leo is strong-willed, wants it their way, wants to be in control of what they can control. And Taurus is also a very strong sign that wants to be in control. And Saturn in Aquarius is also another strong-willed sign. So we've got some real growing pains here. And for us to all remember that forgiveness is sometimes the only thing you can do, and let go, and that God is going to be part of this whole process. So I just wanted to share that with you. And before I complete, let's see here, let's stop the share. And before I complete today, this podcast about this full moon in Capricorn, as you know, I'm a practitioner of shamanic healing arts, which means that I utilize techniques I was taught by my elders for helping other people on their journey to heal, to go into past life and to heal areas, identify and heal areas where we have experienced these same patterns over and over and over in our lives. And also, so shamanic practices and techniques are a big part of my work, along with ghost whispering, meaning helping ghosts and trapped souls that are stuck here on earth. And not only trapped souls that are stuck here on earth that are not in body form anymore, but also souls, people that are here alive and they're trapped in their feelings. They're trapped by guilt or remorse or experiences that they can't seem to let go of or feel okay to let go of. So I'm going to pick a card from my animal deck. Messages from your animal spirit guides, and it's by Stephen Farmer. This is my favorite deck of animal cards. And so a message for nature, from nature, for all of us on this full moon. I got the cat. And the message is, it's time to strike out on your own and relinquish your over-dependency on others. So what does that mean? Let's look at further, some further insight about the cat. Because again, nature is very wise, whether it be a cat crossing your path or a snake crossing your path or a hawk flying over you and landing beside you, whatever that may be, there's a message in that for you. And so the message from the cat, the card, is it's so easy to slip into a comfortable dependency with anything or anyone, from simple dependencies that can be healthy and restorative, such as daily exercise, to destructive and hardcore dependencies, such as an addiction. You may find yourself so totally hooked on another person that you lose yourself, always turning to that individual to either make decisions for you or to validate your own. This can apply to organizations and institutions as well. Those dependencies that you're most familiar with are most likely born out of habit rather than conscious choice. To make truly autonomous decisions, don't get caught up in the polarities of being dependent or independent. Instead, make those choices from a place where you maintain your own authority and power, and accept 100% responsibility for those choices and their consequences. Now is the time to review the people and things upon which you're excessively and habitually dependent. Step back from them, identify the areas where you need to make some adjustments, and act accordingly. Practice setting boundaries, asking for what you want, and making decisions based on your own internal authority and autonomy. And the words that are associated with this card and this message from nature on this full moon are independence, autonomy, curiosity, courage, unpredictability, perceptiveness, cleverness, resourcefulness, intuition, passion, sensuality, playfulness, adventurousness, stealth, charisma, and gracefulness. So again, that's the message from nature on this full moon. And one thing I want to add about Capricorn is it's one of the hardest working signs of the zodiac. Virgo, Capricorn, those are two signs that are very interested in structure. They're interested in hard work and organization. And so this full moon brings a full picture of, hey, I need to focus more on my career, or I've got some work that I really need to do. How do I balance that between my home life, my family life, and my work life? So, that's a very strong message. And remember that the Sabian symbol that we discussed about earlier, is on this full moon is remembering that we are part, if we're working with other people and we're getting into a canoe with a group of other people, or we're going on a business venture with a group of people, it's a journey. And there's going to be emotion attached to this. And that, remember, each person brings with them their own story, their own needs, and their own wants. And this is a group that's coming together to accomplish something, to set out for somewhere, or to embark on a journey with others. And so we have to learn the rules of how to interact with others, with cooperation versus judgment. So everyone, I want to say thanks for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. If you're looking for some personal insight, I am available. If you want to contact me, you can call me. My number is on my website. My email is andrea@turntothestars.com. And I look forward to seeing you all soon and wishing you a happy strawberry full moon. And as always, take care. And I hope that you're all well. And remember, turn to the stars and you'll find your answers there. Thanks for tuning in today. And I look forward to seeing you very soon. Take good care.